Yo, what's good, guys? I'm back for a fragrance video today. We've obviously got new D&G, the One Parfum. We've just got it in today, so we're going to be opening that up, giving it a first spray. I've not smelled it. Obviously, I've kept up with all the impressions and things online. I'll go over that, kind of what I've read about it, and we'll see what we get. Basically, we'll see if I like it. I'm hoping I like it. I'm thinking I'm going to like it, but we're not 100% sure. So anyway, Happy New Year, everyone out there. 2026 should be a good one. We've got some pretty exciting things coming up from Jean-Christophe already announced in the new year. The main thing I'll bring you guys' attention to is French Avenue and Aromatix, who have already released like some fragrances together. They've confirmed that they're basically doing an entire line with Jean-Christophe, so check out his video on that. I'll link it in the comments. He's just basically just announced it in the last couple of days. What it basically means is there's going to be an entire line of Jean-Christophe scents for very affordable prices. It sounds like he's had full creative freedom to do what he wants. French Avenue is my new favourite house now. So what can I say? Yeah, I can't wait for that. Last few weeks, what I've been doing, what I've been wearing. I've been wearing this. I actually bought a couple of bottles of this now because this particular fragrance, it's the Spicebomb Metallic Musk. It grew on me massively. It massively grew on me. I had a 10ml that I was like burning through, and I finished it, and by the end of it, I was like, oh, well, this is really, it wears. It's really, the wearing of it is really, really good. So just a quick aside, just to say, I really, really enjoy the Spicebomb Metallic Musk, and I think it's the best designer release of 2025 by a long margin so far. Obviously, this one is a 2025 release as well, so maybe, but I don't think so somehow. I think this is it's a standout musky fragrance. It's clean. It doesn't really smell all that much. I know a lot of the reviews and comments said that it's kind of like, it's very similar to the EDT. I know exactly what the EDT smells like. I don't think it's as similar to the EDT as a lot of people sort of think. Obviously the sort of pepper and cinnamon thing that, you know, that is the Spicebomb DNA is in there, but the way this is blended with the musks and stuff, it's so clean smelling, and like a little bit kind of even fruity with the sort of how it comes across. I love it anyway. This stuff has grown on me massively. It's a banger. It performs perfectly, makes you smell clean. Anyone in the UK who might be interested in this, I highly recommend going on Debenham's site. This is where I was picking up my stuff from. Go on Debenham's. They have the gift set at the moment for £69. And in the gift set, you get 90ml and you get two 10ml. So basically, very good price for a lot of this juice. And this is top-end juice. This is like borderline like niche. So yeah, Spicebomb Metallic Musk. It's the most niche smelling Spice Bomb. It's the best smelling Spice Bomb by a long shot. Yeah, I'm loving this stuff. Just to say, this has really gone up in my estimations lately. Mostly just because I've worn it. I've been wearing it. And really a fragrance, you know, you get to know a fragrance when you wear it. You get to know how usable it is. This one gets a 10 for versatility. It gets very high marks for the scent as well. I don't get that much of the Spicebomb DNA that is sort of, you know, that I don't like it, because it's not my favourite DNA, but this one's managed to sort of win me over. So yeah, Spicebomb Metallic Musk, just a little note on that. Look out for Aromatix, Jean-Christophe Hérault, and French Avenue this year. He's already, like, in that video, he talks about 6 scents that they're going to do. 3, I think, feminine, and the other 3, they're just instant blind buys. There's one that's the citrus one, which is like, oh my god. So anyway, that sounds like it's going to be very exciting. French Avenue also have Grow, which is his second for French Avenue. It sounds like a gourmand, nutty, supposed to be a little bit unusual. That's probably going to be a blind buy, to be honest, because it's, you know, French Avenue prices are really good. So you might find me talking about that in the next couple of months, potentially. But it might not be. We'll see how we go with it. We'll see how we go. Today's one is a blind buy. It's D&G, the One Parfum. It released just at the end of last year. Instantly, I was writing about it online, saying probably Jean-Christophe, because he's done most of the, apart from the original EDT and EDP, which was Olivier Polge, most of those like Middle Eastern flankers and all the other flankers, basically Jean-Christophe has helmed that line for like, you know, the majority of the time they've been releasing like flankers for it. You've got like, you know, Mysterious Night, Raw Night, Luminous Night, EDP Intense, Grey. I think he's done pretty much all of those ones. So yeah, we're going to get into this today. I'm going to give you my first impressions. I'm going to be totally honest and frank about it. I'm almost hoping that I don't like it that much, because I'll just sell it on, and you know, I've got enough fragrances in this style now. I'm not necessarily looking for new things just, you know, for the sake of it. We're looking for new things if they're amazing. It might well be very, very nice and almost borderline sort of amazing. So let's see. So just before we get into that, so we got this through from France. Got a very good price on this bad boy. I don't think anyone in the UK is selling it, or at least not online. I saw a chap's video who, I think he got it from fragrance shops. So maybe actually if you go into the stores, they've already got this. But online, you can't find it anywhere. I found it on the French site, My Origins. And it was like, what was it, about 90? It was 90 something quid. If it was any higher, I probably wouldn't have blind bought it. But it was 90 something quid. I thought I'll get it. You know, I can get it quickly. And if I don't like it, I can probably like resell it without losing too much. Since then, the price has actually gone up to like 120 quid. I think 120 quid is somewhere around the retail price for this. If any of you guys seen the American guys doing the videos on it, it's about 190 there. So they're getting quite a premium price tag in America on these D&Gs. So anyway, 190 quid. I got it for about 90, so it's a lot less. It's a lot less. Obviously, it's a bit below retail. It will get discounted. It's probably not going to be super cheap because it is the premium, you like flanker. It's the Parfum. Have a little ganders at the box, and you'll see that it's 79% alcohol. So presumably it's a 21% concentration. That is just what you would consider a Parfum. It's pretty low for like a Parfum / extrait. I think 21% is like the bare minimum of what a brand would consider a Parfum. The EDP, which we've got here, the original EDP, this is the original batch of the EDP. I can't actually see the concentration on this. Yeah, it doesn't have a concentration on it. I presume it's a bit lower. It's probably 16, 18%, something like that. Maybe it's lower. I can't remember what the sort of thresholds are for EDP. It's not sort of black and white anyway. Brands can kind of choose. You know, it's more of a marketing thing than anything. And again, even after that, it really depends what's in it more than the sort of concentration a lot of the time. So anyway, we've got the original EDP here. A bit of background. I absolutely love this scent. This is a really nice scent. I think most of you guys out there who are into fragrances probably know all about this bad boy. Yeah, D&G The One. It's a really great DNA. You know, it's great enough that they've launched a whole line from it. Olivier Polge, who came up with this stuff, genius. This is a genius piece of perfumery. I don't know if he really does too much these days outside of the Chanel stuff. I think he's pretty much just Chanel. So we're lucky to have got, you know, some things from him outside of that. It's just the most, I mean, it's you know, it's the quote unquote date night sexy scent. It's quite light, has an amazing opening. It's like fruity, a bit spicy. It reminds me of sort of a tropical fruit punch, if that makes sense. It's got this kind of tropical vibe to it. I got a little more of that in the EDT even, but even with the EDP, you get this beautiful kind of tropical, fruity sort of smell with the sort of amber and tobacco. And it's just a really, really well-balanced, well-composed scent. Very sexy, very sort of appealing to anyone who smells it, I think. Even though it doesn't project that much, I think this is an absolutely tremendous piece of perfume. I'm happy to have it. I did have a couple of these at one time, but I sold it, so it's not one that I really reach for too often. But it is a beautiful, smelling it now, it is such a beautiful smell. I might even spray a bit of this just so we have something to compare it to, you know, to see if we get the DNA with the new one. So we got the D&G The One EDP. This is the EDP, it's 2015. Unfortunately, the EDT, now the EDT I came to a bit late because I think the EDT launched in about 2008. I came to it late after it had already been reformulated, and unfortunately the reformulations kind of increasingly, you know, degraded the scent, downgraded the scent. Not that it got weaker, but I just think some of the materials in it particularly in the base, became a lot worse. It became more sort of harsh and synthetic smelling. Again, it's a great DNA, but I never bought it because the later bottles that I got my nose on, I didn't like how the sort of base was blended or the materials that they changed in the base. So just to say, the EDT is amazing, but I only think it's truly great if you have one of the early batches. There's a guy on Base Notes. If you guys, I'll link my thread to it on Base Notes. So I did a thread about this new one actually. There's a guy on Base Notes. It's Clayton. You might, if you search him, you'll find him on YouTube. He's a big expert on this line because I think it's one of his favorite fragrances, and he was like sharing some information about the reformulations, the different versions, the different places where, you know, it's produced and stuff. And it does sound like what I said about the EDT. You know, the EDT is only truly good in the original batches, and then when you get to around 2013, 2014, sometime around there, the EDT is a lot worse than it was before that. And even in the EDT, apparently this one gets reformulated like crazy and ends up not smelling as good, not being quite as potent, even though it's already not very potent. It's quite a minefield if you're into this stuff. Thankfully, I have the OG. This is the OG. This is made in... Where is this one made? This is made in the UK, I think, this one. Yeah, this is made in made in UK. This is the original. You'll find the made in UK one is like the OG batch. Then it's made in France. And I had a bottle of that one as well. And then it's made in Italy. And I think that's like the one they're at now. It might be another formulation of it. But anyway. So yeah, you're made in UK, made in France batches of this are the original batches. I've never really compared it to a later batch. I just know this one smells great, but it's not very strong. I wouldn't want it to be too much different, to be honest. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to give this one, before we get to the parfum, I'm going to give this one a spray. This video might go on a long time today, guys, potentially, but hopefully you don't mind. You know, if you're watching my channel, you're a fragrance enthusiast. You're not just looking for 2 seconds on, you know, sort of what it's about. So we're going to give this one a little spray. The performance problems, I actually found that if you get this stuff, it's the aftershave balm. If you find yourself a bottle of this, I've got several of these. Basically, they get sold in gift sets with the EDT, but you often find them individual. People just, you know, sell them individually. If you get yourself some of this stuff, this is the aftershave balm. It's like a lotion, like quite a runny sort of lotion. What you can do, you can, you know, get this, cover yourself in this, and then you spray the EDP over the top, and you'll find you get a little more performance. You get a really nice sort of warm orangey, you know, scent bubble with the DNA, and it's great. So anyway, just a little recommendation: if you really like this stuff, go get this, because it's, even though it's sold in the gift set for the EDT and the EDP are basically the same fragrance pretty much, and this obviously it's like exactly matches the EDP. So you can get the aftershave, you can get the aftershave balm, and you'll have a great time with this. I've enjoyed wearing it with the aftershave balm. So here we go. I'll tell you what, we'll spray it on the right hand so I can do the new one. Ooh, amazing. This is. It's juicy. Like I said, it's got a bit of that tropical fruit sort of vibe off the top. It has a sort of darkness lingering in the background with tobacco and the amber, and it's got some spice. It's got cardamom, coriander. This is a masterpiece. This is really. It's like mouth-watering, but at the same time, it's got that sort of dark thing in the back. Anyway, incredible fragrance. I think most people that are into fragrances know what this one's about, but just to remind ourselves of how lovely this is, because this is absolutely beautiful, and it is discontinued with the release of the, because basically they've got the parfum, and now they've changed the EDP as well. So Jean-Christophe has done the parfum, and he's also done the new version of the EDP. So this is discontinued. If you like the smell of this one, you know, there's probably going to be a run on these bottles. They're fairly cheap. Most places that have them discounted for a fairly good price. So obviously run out and get your backups of this one before it disappears. I have a feeling it's not going to be hard to find bottles of this, You know, there's so many in circulation. It's been produced for like pretty much 10 years, so there are going to be loads of these out there, but better to get them now before the prices do start to, you know, slide up, because you know how it is with the reformulations and the discontinuations. It will, you know, over time, the more and more scarce this gets, the more it will go up. But now this is drying down. Yeah, just amazing. Amazing smell. This DNA to me is borderline 10 out of 10. It's beautiful. It's a masterpiece of modern, you know, like masculine designer fragrance. And to be honest, this one absolutely puts to shame most newer releases. This is not something that smells like a designer scent to me at all. It's not that it smells niche, but it just smells so beautiful that it's like a masterpiece. It transcends, it transcends its sort of place as a designer scent. When people look back at this period in perfumery, this will be one that, you know, the EDT and the EDP, the original versions, this will be one that always comes up as like a masterpiece. There's not many like this, to be honest. There's this, and just pull it out just while I'm here. There's this, and there's La Nuit de l'Homme, which is another one that is like in the same category as, you know, it's a sort of date night, sexy fragrance, a bit spicy. This one's a bit spicier, really. This one's more spicy dominant. This one here, we've got the OG batch for you batch guys out there. La Nuit de l'Homme 2009 batch. This is some awesome stuff. This is not just a great designer fragrance. To my nose, this is better than most niche fragrances on the market today. The cardamom in it is to perfection. Very, very sort of sexy smelling, if you will. It's just incredible. It's the best cardamom based scent I've smelled, and I've tried to, you know, explore that note because I do like that note. I've not smelled any niche fragrance that even comes close to this. So just to put it out there, the La Nuit de l'Homme, another masterpiece of designer perfume, in the same category as the One EDP. So these two guys are classics. They're already classics, and you know, they will only become more and more sort of cemented over time, because they don't smell like, you know, generic sweet designer fragrances. This one has its spice and floral sort of thing, and this one has its more sort of like fruity amber tobacco thing, and it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. So we got those. What else have we got? This is a bit relevant because it's a Jean-Christophe. We've got the one Luminous Night. Now, from the one flankers, Luminous Night, here it is. Ooh, here it is. This one's a pretty hardcore sort of scent compared to the original. It's much stronger than the One EDP. Doesn't really smell much like it. I feel like with this was one Jean-Christophe was given a bit more, just do something in this style. Doesn't have to be sort of adhering to the OG DNA that much. And this one goes in a very different direction, but it's incredible. It's fruity and it's ambery, and it's sort of strong and smooth and a little bit sort of like fresh spicy and like incense. It's got a sort of quite a strong incense that comes along in the dry down, and it's epic. This one I've brought this out on the top 10 Jean-Christophe video, just to say Luminous Night. It's another fragrance in the One series. When we're coming up with this parfum, we're thinking about this, and we're thinking about this quality wise, because apparently this parfum has quite a prominent amber note, and I don't think it might be similar to this. I hope it's as well blended. Apparently the amber comes across quite strongly. Obviously the amber's in this one, but this one's very soft. So from what I can gather, the One Parfum is going to be maybe slightly more designer leaning in sort of its overall profile than the original EDP, which, like I said, it's a special fragrance, it's a masterpiece. It might be a bit more designer leaning than that. This one's not really very designer leaning. I think this one's more niche again. It's really an epic blend. He outdid himself with this one. You can find the bottles of this, like, you know, it's basically going up and up, because it's discontinued. So the question on my mind is this new one, and I'm going to be brutal with it. If it's like, if it has too much of what I think it might have a little bit of, at least, I'm going to be absolutely brutal with sort of, you know, passing it on, selling it on. You know, I'm not going to be necessarily just praising it because it smells good. It's going to have to really impress me. So the One Parfum, here it is. Last thing to mention, I've got one other fragrance here. Again, it was in the Jean-Christophe top 10. Thierry Mugler's Cœur Impertinent. Now, this is my favourite fragrance he's done, which is amber, sort of, you know, it has a strong... This one's actually amber and tobacco more than anything. It's a bit sweet. It has like a licorice, anisey, star anisey note, star anise, and it's a masterpiece. This is one of my favourite fragrances that he's done. For cold weather, it's awesome. I put this one above Luminous Night. It's one of the best fragrances I have in that style. It's amazing. It's very unique. It's very niche, but it's also really, really wearable and just really appealing. It's not got anything in it that for me is unusual. It's just an awesome fragrance. So we've got Mugler's Cœur Impertinent, another Jean-Christophe scent that might be somewhat in this style with the amber. So yeah, that's the final one I've got before we get to this. Sorry for the long build up, but you know, we want to sort of take our time here. We've got comparison points. We've got the 1EDP drying down on my hand, and I can just smell that juicy orange. Oh, it's such a good fragrance, the 1EDP. It's such a nice fragrance. So hopefully we're going to get some of that DNA in this new parfum. Now, I'm going to quickly gloss over what I've read about this online, because I've read a lot of this. You know, I've said all the videos that have been put out, I've watched them all, I've read all the written reviews. There's a lot being said about it so far. Obviously, the majority of the people that are getting it are the larger sort of influencers and channels. From those people, the one that I would sort of highlight as maybe the one that, you know, would go along with how I feel about it. Sebastian did a video the other day. He got it. He really liked it. So that's good. But he did say that the clary sage note, so the notes of this new flanker, and this is the first part where I just think this is not the original notes. This is not, you know, they haven't said to Jean-Christophe, just do a flanker, you know, which is the same as EDP, but make it stronger. He's clearly been given some sort of, like, you know, to mess around with the notes, potentially. And maybe even he's been given a brief to make it more in line with some sort of modern, even more modern trends. Because we've got the notes, we've got nutmeg, orange and black pepper, labdamen, patchouli, clary sage, amber, tobacco, vetiver. The note from all of those notes, which has given me a little bit of like concern, is the clary sage, because we get clary sage all over the place in new designer releases. Sebastian said he got quite a bit of that. It does give you that sort of, that like designery aromatic thing, which can come across as, let's say, generic a little bit sometimes. I'm hoping that that's not too much in this. He did say it's quite prominent, but he still liked the scent overall because it was so well blended. I'm not sort of, you know, there's no doubt in my mind this is going to be well blended. It's Jean-Christophe, you know, it's a high profile project that he's probably been, you know, this is a really high profile designer release. He's no doubt trying to give him some good stuff. So yeah, we're going to see what we get. Nice box, very shiny, got a nice shiny box there. All right, let's bust it out. Hopefully we're going to get, my hope is that the orange, which is a note that was in the original, you know, EDT, EDP, the orange, my hope is that the orange, here it is. Beautiful. All right, so we got this right red bottle. It's a little bit different to the old ones, yeah. This red looking bottle with, apparently it's a new like style of atomizer that's on it. So we got this kind of red tinted bottle. Is what it is. It's not my favorite ever bottle. I'm not really a bottle person, if you know what I mean. Like, that doesn't really like influence whether I buy a fragrance or not. I could care less a lot of the time, to be honest, unless it's an absolute fingerprint magnet or the atomizer's terrible. I'm indifferent to the bottles, but I do like, it's a nice looking bottle. You know, it's kind of like, yeah, red. It's kind of a dark red glass. It looks, it looks as nice as the other ones in the series. Yeah, attractive enough presentation. Cap's a little bit annoying, the way the sort of cap has to kind of like, it's kind of goes, sort of wobbles, and not really the best cap. But I get that they're sort of going for a very sleek sort of, to match the sort of the marketing of the scent, the slickness of it and stuff. It's, it's supposed to be sexy and sort of all this other stuff. So yeah, we got the One Parfum, we got batch codes. All that's left now is to spray it. Let's see what we get. Sorry for the long build up again, but you watch my channel, you're going to get me rambling about other fragrances, and yeah, we don't get many things that we want to try, so we want to give it full context. So yeah, Jean-Christophe Hérault 2025, released right at the end of the year. It's had praise from people. It's had people say that it smells a bit like Grand Soir in the sort of amber that you get in the dry down. Not my favorite ever fragrance, to be honest. I don't like how sweet it is. I'm hoping this one doesn't get too sweet. I'm hoping, basically my hopes are, we don't want too much clary sage and a generic vibe, and we don't want too much sweetness. And sweetness can come across in different ways, but the sort of sweetness I'm talking about is that sort of synthetic sweetness that you get, in most designer releases. This original EDP, to my nose, is not that sweet. It's not really sweet at all. Not in how I interpret sweetness. It's very well balanced with the orange, sort of the orange note, and the sort of the tobacco and spices, and it's, like I said, it's a masterpiece. I don't find it too sweet. So this one, we're told that we get some of the original DNA in it. A lot of the reviewers have said they get the original DNA. Not a huge amount. It varies from person to person whether they pick up much of that. I'm hoping we can pick that up. I'm hoping that's part of it. The more of that, the better, really. And then this new thing that they're going to do, apparently it might get dark. It's going to be stronger, thicker, denser, darker. Let's see what we get. Here we go. Wow. Okay. Wow. This is interesting. Yeah, there is the original DNA in there in the opening for sure. Yeah, it's definitely sweeter. It's definitely sweet. I can say that off the top. It almost has this sort of like candied sweetness to it, I would say. The orange, the way the orange comes across. It's more of a candied orange. It's that amber note is there. Does it smell good? I think it smells really good. I think it's nice. I think it's a nice one. I think it's nice. It's almost kind of like almost like bubble gum, like that sort of sweetness as it has. You're going to get this sort of thing in a lot of designer scents. I think this is a classic Jean-Christophe jam in that he's kind of gone along with some of the more recent, trends and notes, but he's done it better, basically. He's blended it better. It's more, let's spray it some more. Beautiful opening. Stronger. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's almost, yeah. It's kind of like, it's not as sweet, and it also is sweeter. It's kind of the way the notes are playing. So basically what I'm getting off the top, I'm getting that sort of orange note quite prominently. And there's something in there that's making it sweet. And there's also something in there that's making it kind of like bitter and dark. I'm guessing that's the, you've got the sort of labdamen and the what are the other notes in it again? The labdamen, patchouli, the amber. It definitely is. It's definitely richer and it's definitely darker. It's not that like the reviews for this, because it's supposed to be a parfum. People will expect it to be good performing. Most of the negative reviews on this so far have been that it doesn't perform. The performance is still weak. It is still quite soft. It's not I think it's a little bit stronger than the OG EDP. Because that like, this has only been on my hand like, what, 15, 20 minutes since I started the video. And it's already like all the way down to like to barely even a skin scent. It's like the EDP is soft, you know, and like I said, I've got the original batch. And apparently it's, you know, it doesn't get stronger. If anything, it gets weaker as it gets reformulated. It's really soft. This new one is a little more, there's a little more to it. It's a little denser. How does it smell? Okay, how does it smell? So like I said, off the top, it's kind of at the very start when you spray it, it's more bitter than the original. That there's something in there that's making it smell bitter, and then very shortly after the opening, there's something that's in there that makes it sweeter. There's like a sort of a candidness that comes through, and then I guess as it's drying down, that's all sort of coming together, and you're getting a sort of a really nice. You're getting a really nice sort of version of the OG EDP, but with an amped up. And this is, I'm kind of having to reference what I've read about it. I've read too much, unfortunately. I'm not able to give my full, because I'm being influenced by what I've read. But I do get an amped up amber note. I get the OG DNA with an amped up amber note. The fact that it doesn't have the sort of the ginger and the cardamom, the coriander, those notes, I'm not really sort of detecting that the DNA has changed a huge amount from the messing around with all the notes. I think it is quite close to the original DNA. I'm really happy about that. I'm really happy. I thought it would go I thought it would be going in a way different direction. And I'm happy to say that this is quite true to the OG EDT and EDP. I was very skeptical about that when I read the people saying it has some of that in it, because I've smelt other ones in the line which you know, and they weren't close to it a lot of the time. The original DNA, the other flankers that Jean-Christophe made, the only one that really got close was Royal Night. Royal Night felt like it was like the OG EDP with some, you know, with sort of extra spice and stuff in it. Most of the others just felt like they were just different fragrances. This one, and it's a little bit creamy and sweet. It's definitely getting creamier on my skin now. It's more creamy, it's more resinous, but it has that like orange note that's in there, and the way that's sort of blended. Like I said, that's one of the dominant notes in this DNA. Yeah, that orange note it's the to my nose that is very true to the original EDT EDP, the orange note. I can see why they've zoomed in on that, because the other flanker has that as well. The 2025 EDP that they've come out with, that also has that orange note. All right, let's spray some more. Anyway, I'm happy. I like it. It's nice. It's like the original EDP. Definitely stronger. The sort of the twist on it is it's more resinous. It's more ambery. There's nothing wrong with that, because the original was an ambery fragrance. There is an amberiness to it. It's just such a soft amber that it's just, there's almost nothing to it. Like I said, I sprayed the EDP on there, and it's like, you know, quarter of an hour later, it's barely detectable. Not much projection on that. You have to, like I said, you have to go heavy on the sprays, use the lotion, the aftershave balm, and yeah, you'll get a nice wearing from it, but it's never like projecting. This one's gorgeous. I think a lot of the reviews on it were that it's were literally that it was like, it's too expensive, but it smells good. And it's weak as well. I could kind of, you know, I'm not thinking about the price or the projection when I smell it. I'm thinking about the smell first and foremost. I'm glad to say that this is not a synthetic bomb at all. This is attractive smell that's similar to the EDP, stronger with the amber. Like, I'm just repeating myself, but it's stronger with the amber, stronger with the resins. That clary sage thing, to my nose, my nose isn't sort of well trained enough on the sort of, you know, on that note or some of the recent designs. I don't get too much of what I thought I might get from that note. I don't get that too much. Let's spray him some more. Ooh, that opening. That opening is... it's not as good as the EDP's opening. That's for sure. It's not as good. But that amber, it's amber, that bitterness I feel is coming from the amber note. The people who say they get the Grand Soir thing comes out more in the dry down. Definitely has a strong amber, but I don't like Grand Soir. I feel it's too much. It has a powdery aspect to it. It's very, very sort of thick and strong. It has vanilla, it has a massive sort of... I just find the amber and vanilla in that just overwhelming for me. Obviously, it's well blended. Francis Kurkdjian is a master at sort of blending those stronger fragrances. It's just, for me, it's too much. It's too much. It's quite unisex as well. This one could low-key be unisex, I think. I don't think there's too much masculineness in it. I've seen reviewers say it's like a hardcore... It's not hardcore masculine. It really is like the OG EDP, which I feel is quite fruity in its own way. It's like that, more ambery. And maybe as it gets like more into the dry down, we're going to get more amberiness potentially. But as it is now, it's quite creamy. It's very smooth. It's impeccably blended. Jean-Christophe, you don't miss, dude. You don't miss. You don't miss. He just doesn't miss lately. And this was an opportunity where he could have missed. He could have just put something out that was, you know, I don't know what they asked for. Presumably they asked for something that was like the, you know, the original, but, you know, basically for the One Parfum flanker, this is it. This fits the brief. This fits the brief. If you like the EDT and the EDP, and I know Clayton, I know he said he didn't, you know, he wasn't totally convinced by this, but to my nose, and like I said, the EDP, I think it's like a, you know, it's a masterpiece. It's not my favorite fragrance ever. Even the La Nuit de l'Homme, which is, you know, like I would probably favor La Nuit de l'Homme over the One EDP in terms of what I would wear for like that style of fragrance. And even over that, maybe we go for something like this, the Mola Current Pertinent, for something more niche smelling. This one's a banger. Luminous Night, we respect, but again, it's not one that I really want to reach for very often. It's very rich, very, like, you know, the wearing experience of that is super strong and powerful. It's not one that is, you know, that's really suitable for every day. This one's very versatile. I don't feel that it has too much of a designery thing. There's a little bit of it, but really it's just, yeah, really it's just the OG EDP with a bit of a twist, with a bit of a like an yeah, it's just, I'm happy. Anyway, I'm happy. This probably ain't going to be the best review you see on this. It's a first impression. You know, my opinions might change when I wear it. I will wear it. In fact, let's wear it now. Let's give it a proper wear. Sorry, I'm doing crazy amount of sprays there. We're going to get a good dose of that. Yeah, it's that opening is like borderline kind of like licoricey and bitter. It's quite an interesting opening, I have to say. It's not what I expected. Definitely get that orange note. But it's a little bit bitter. It's a little bit bitter, a little bit darker. And then presumably we're going to get like the amber later in the dry down. We'll get more and more of the amber. But it's a very well balanced amber. It's creamy. It doesn't have that sort of typical, like, sometimes when I smell amber fragrances, it smells a bit like kind of cola. It has that sort of vibe. This one doesn't have too much of that. It doesn't have the typical amber note that I don't normally enjoy. This one's well balanced between the amber and the orange, and, you know, the sort of the resinous aspect, you know, the sort of tobacco. Not really so much, but very well blended. Well blended to the point where we don't really sort of, you know, we don't really pick out the individual notes. We just get the overall, the one DNA, which is a classic DNA. Like I said, it's a masterpiece DNA. You don't get many DNAs like that these days. Like come along, you know. I think designer fragrances are sort of stagnated. They're generally not very good. You know, the time when we had the D&G, the One, you know, we had other things coming out that were like, you know, when the original EDT came out, 2000, I think it's 2008. Between of like 2008 and 2012, we had a lot of good stuff coming out that pretty much hasn't been topped since then. We have Creed Aventus, which is just, you know, that's basically the blueprint for most of the fresh fragrances that are on the market. The Ambroxan heavy things, they all sort of derive from Aventus, and even going back before that, you know, the sort of the ambergris thing and the Creeds, nothing's really kind of changed. You know, the Aventus has the musk and so we haven't really had huge amounts of innovation. This one's not really doing anything new, but we didn't expect it to do anything new because the brief is just, I guess, the One, but bump it up a bit, bump up the One. And that's what I'm getting. That's what I'm getting. There's a slightly, that clary sage thing that Sebastian mentioned. I'm getting a little bit of it. I'm getting some of it. But it's not to the point where it smells sort of like soapy, or, you know, it doesn't have too much of that in it, or blue, or any of those sort of, you know, associations with mainstream designer scents. It's really nice. It's really, really nice. I like it. I like it. And like I said at the start of the video, I was ready. I was totally ready to hate this. Or not to hate it, but to just say, this is a designer fragrance, if you know what I mean. And don't get me wrong, it's a designer fragrance, but because it's close enough to the original DNA, and that DNA is kind of beyond, you know, where designer fragrances are sort of at on the whole, this is a very, very worthy pickup. It's beautiful. It's not very strong. I'm gonna go along with the people that said this is still not a beast mode fragrance. Maybe the EDP they've come out with is stronger than this, because it wouldn't take much, you know, to have a stronger projecting scent. I will try that at some time. Potentially I'll do another sort of impression on that. But it's stronger. It's higher concentration. It's very obviously more present. When I compare it to the EDP here, like I said, this is almost sort of gone to nothing very, very quickly. Whereas this one's definitely got more of a sort of a pop and a projection. So yeah, guys, if you want, you know, if you've always wanted the One EDP ramped up a lot, and you're not totally religious about the sort of the scent, because it's a slightly different scent, but it's pretty close. It's pretty close. It's pretty close. It's pretty close. The opening isn't as good. I don't think that sort of tropical fruit thing is sort of fully transitions over. The way the orange sort of mingles with the amber, it's a little bit more bitter smelling at the start, but I've got no problem with that. I don't need sweetness necessarily, but it's not got that tropical fruity thing anymore. It's a little more, I guess some of the reviews said it's more serious, it's more grown up. Maybe it's a little more grown up. Maybe it's a little more grown up overall. I don't think so. I think it's versatile enough. I wouldn't even say this is like, you know, all these fragrances that get, you know, they're quote unquote sexy, they're date night fragrances. Sure, you can use them in that context, but overall, I just think these are great fragrances you can rock in the cooler weather. You know, they're a little bit spicy, they still got some freshness to them. Yeah, this is a great fragrance you can just rock in the cool weather, I think. Really nice smell. Going to be really mass appealing. Smells. Yeah, Jean-Christophe is he's nailed it. He's nailed it again. This is not his most original creation, but like I said, I think he's been told to do something that is, you know, it's the brief. It's you know, we're going to do a parfum version of the EDP. We're going to do a stronger version, and he didn't come up with the original DNA, so he's done very well to maintain that through this new twist on it. It's and it's a bit more ambery, but yeah, great stuff. I'm loving it. It's not, you know, I'm not giving this a 10 out of 10 and saying it's the favorite thing ever, but it's definitely a worthy pickup. Anyone who's a fan of the One, I would say it's a blind buy. It's a blind buy if you like the One EDP, the One EDT, and if you've tried the One EDP and the sort of the deal breaker of it is it's not strong enough, it doesn't perform, you could probably skip that and just buy this. You could probably go straight to this now. Just with the caveat that it's not beast mode. It's never going to be beast mode. But this is the strongest version. And something that other people mentioned, and I'm going to sort of pick up on this as well, it leaves room for another flanker. Because it's 20, you know, it's not super strong, X-straight, you know, it's 21% or whatever. Potentially we're getting the elixir version of this down the line. I'm there for it. If it smells like this, but even more amped up. Like, I know this is crazy because this is meant to be amped up. This is amped up. There's room that it could be amped up even more, I think. So I think that's quite predictable that we might see an elixir or even sort of stronger version of this in the future. But for now, it's great. It's the best. Like, if you're going to buy the ODT, the EGT, don't buy the EDT because it's ruined in reformulations. The EDP apparently is not quite so ruined, but it's very weak. It's very soft. This is the one to buy. If you can get it for a good price, you know, like I said, I got it for like about 90, what was it, 90 something quid, like 93 quid or something for it delivered. That was worth it. I wouldn't be paying 120 or 140 quid for this. I'd pay 90 quid. Otherwise, I would wait for it to, you know, maybe it'd be worth 80 quid in the future. I don't know. It's going to be that discounted down to, you know, you're probably not going to find this for 50 or 60 anytime soon because I think it will sell well at its full price. It's good enough that, you know, it'll get a good word of mouth, a good buzz. I think the sort of buzz at the moment on YouTube and, you know, and stuff is quite strong for it. I think it's going to be big for D&G. I hope it's big for them. I hope it's good enough that then they get Jean-Christophe to come back and do an elixir or, you know, do some more of the One flankers because he's honed in on what made the One so appealing in the first place. He's done all these other flankers, the, you know, Luminous Night being the one that I pick out as the best one. He's done all the other flankers, but this one is really coming all the way back to you know, the foundation of it, the original DNA basically, but amped up. So my closing thoughts are that this is closer to the original DNA than I thought. The sort of the hardcore, the One people might still say it's not similar enough. To my nose, this is hella similar. And much stronger. So similar, it's stronger. It's nailing what the One Parfum should really be. So I'm very happy. I hope you guys who watch this, you know, got some insight out of that. I know I'm not, you know, going too much into it because it's a first impression, but from my experience with the line, I'm happy. I picked this up. I'm not selling it. I'm keeping this stuff. I do a couple of decants. Anyone wants a decant in the UK, hit me up. I can maybe do a decant of it, but this ain't going to be sold. This is lovely. This is a keeper in terms of this style of fragrance. This is the best one in the line that smells like the original. It's really nice stuff. So yeah, that's going to be that. And maybe you'll see me back for, what's the other fragrance I mentioned? The Grow. Maybe I'll get the French Avenue Grow. If I can't resist, I might just blind buy that when it's available. It's the next Jean-Christophe send. Otherwise, nothing that we're sort of waiting on at the moment particularly. I did post about a couple of things. One, they're sort of niche and I'm probably not going to like them. So we're waiting on the Aromatix Jean-Christophe stuff. That's probably not going to come around for another few months at least. Maybe later in the year. But that is the number one anticipated sort of thing now, because there's stuff in there that he said it was like a Ventus elixir potentially and like a citrus one, and I was like, wow, this is going to be for like the price of the French Avenue scents, like they're 40 or 50 quid. We're going to be getting some really good juice. I just know it. I just know this is like, and if he does more for them, this is like the floodgates are opening for his stuff. Because what we want from him generally, we want obviously IFF juice, which is always going to be with him, but we want him to have creative freedom when he's making a sense, because normally that equals amazing. Creed Aventus, amazing. Stuff he did for Balchard, amazing. The stuff where he can just do what he wants pretty much is generally amazing. So we're really looking forward to that. For now, we've got the One EDP, Hype Train. Yep, Hype Train, full speed ahead for the Hype Train on this. Because it really captures the original DNA. It really, really captures the original DNA. It's really good. So, yeah. that's going to be that for today. And we'll see you next time.